Hello again and welcome back to Hustings 2014. Yeah. Right, I'm going to keep it short because we are nearly at the end and we have the second part of the presidential hustings. But I have a few more jokes just before we start. So, what do you call a fake noodle? You call it an impasta. What do you call an elephant that doesn't matter? An irrelevant. Too late. What do you call a singing computer? What do you call a singing computer? Adele. Yeah, I like that one. Right, I welcome back to the stage the candidates for the presidential election. And cue the VT.
The candidates for President, Maz Hussain.
Hi, I'm Maz. I'm running for President. The student union needs experience, it needs continuity, and it needs a vision. Vote for the best candidate. Vote Maz.
Peter Smead.
Hi there, my name's Peter Smead and I'm running to be your next union president. I think you should vote for me because I'll be a strong voice to the university, be an effective leader for the team of sabbaticals and provide real representation for all students at Surrey.
Charlie Wen.
Hello guys, I'm Charlie Wen. I'm running for the union president. I stand for finances. You want some actual cash in your wallet? Please vote for me.
And of course, we need to welcome back to the stage Charlie.
You're all fired, by the way. That was obvious. Come on, that was obvious. Right, so. This is the final. Someone's short's been sitting here. Sorry, Anne. How's that going? This is the final session, as I'm sure you're all well aware. We lost a few people from the floor. Still got a lot of people tuning in online. We'll be looking on Twitter, seeing what the vibe is on Twitter. Hashtag Surrey Decides. The first question, before I get to my questions, is NUS President Tony Pearce, who hopefully you've all noted down what the question is. I'll repeat it very briefly for the purpose of the audience, if anyone missed it. So Tony asked that if in 12 months' time you could look back on your year, so 12 months after you've started, I guess, you could look back on your year and think, you know what, that makes me really proud. I'm really proud of that one thing that I did. Or not just one thing, but something which stands out as your legacy. What would you want that to be? And that goes, first of all, to Maz.
Hello again. So I understand that my manifesto is a massive visionary manifesto, and people want to start hearing specifics. So the core vision of the union, which is what we go by, and that is to represent every single Surrey student at this university. And if we don't do that, then we're not succeeding in our job, and we shouldn't exist. That is the core vision. As president, at the end of a year, I would love to have within the 5-year strategy that is currently going on, a 1-year vision for the part-time exec and the exec in general to really thrive and feel proud about their union, engage with the union, and really reach as many students as want. So I would strive to have a bring all the union management together, all the union exec, and at the start of the year, and really show them how important what they do is to the future.
Okay, Shaoli.
For the question, I would say your happiness, your smiling faces. I'm one of you, and your happiness will make me feel better, because for employability, like Tony said before, it has been a problem. And my entrepreneurship scheme provides you being a boss and you create business. You are not just a boss, you are also creating job opportunities for all others. And I have to tell something very horrific figures behind the scene. we only have 65 students have part-time job, and 12% students, they undertook something they regard as immoral, illegal, or unethical for money to support themselves. Well, to be honest, we have 15,000 people in here. So we have 1,800 students who are struggling for money. And I would like to see smiling faces on smiling faces of yours.
Okay, okay, Shirley. And finally, Peter.
Looking at my manifesto, I think it'll be obviously important for me to achieve all the things I point out in there. But in a more general sense, I think I want to be known as a president who, like, not only took the student views and acknowledged them what they are, but someone who had the conviction and the courage to take them straight to the university. So I left kind of a big student-led footprint in the university, so they understand that place is for students, especially on University Council, which is the highest committee that the president sits on. I really want to feel like I've left an impact there for any future president to then take up the reins and carry on spreading the student voice and the student views.
Okay. So, round of applause to candidates on the question from Tony Pierce. Hopefully Tony's able to tune in and maybe she'll sweet you early in the morning with what she thinks. Okay, so on to the manifestos. Right, Shirley. I listened intently to the first session. I'm still a little bit confused. Something I heard and something which resonated in my mind, and I don't know if it resonated in the mind of people here, was revolution, was something that I heard. Yeah, a few cheers. That's me quoting, by the way. Can you please explain, because if you want a £450,000 investment into your own business idea, then I'm out. Seriously, I'm a student. Everyone here is a stakeholder, the Students' Union, from that sense. Please take this opportunity to explain, because there's a lot of confusion on Twitter about this. Finances. Please explain.
Firstly, I would like to say the central administration cost is exactly 422,000. So it's not my business.
Charlie, I'm sorry. I'm not Alan, so I'm gonna interrupt, I'm afraid. A little bit more adversarial, perhaps. Please, rather than explaining the point about finances, can you explain what your manifesto is saying? Can you explain this idea of a dual model? Can you explain this? You say you're going to put money into the student's pocket, but then you also say you're going to turn this into, I think, a market was a word you used. Please explain the key point. Don't worry about the figures so much, just the point.
The point is, we use your business ideas to create more business, to create the revenue that the student union can use to spend on you guys, rather than, creating chancellors and union shops to take money from you guys and spending on you guys. I would like to take money from outside the uni and spend on you. And also, the dual model basically is just set up some trading subsidiaries to provide profit, which the union is not allowed to do so. So when the business goes bigger, stronger, we have more profit to give you guys to spend on more services you want, to spend on more club activities, and have larger rubrics. It's all possible if we have the profit. If we have the budget. Yes.
When is it possible? What's the time frame for the possibility? Say, for example, for a larger rubrics, as you call it.
I will propose to the university, and I already consult with AMD current president, and they are huge. There are loads of lands out there. If we can get rid of the idea that we need university spend on the new student union building.
Where's the land?
It's away from Manor Park, and it's.
Do you think students are going to walk over there for the Students' Union?
Yes, I guess so. Because we abandoned this building, we can use it as market and recruit outside business to set it up here. We have more cheap food supplier and also...
Okay, so, Maz, I know you've defended your CV in the first round of questions. Sorry, CV, I called it a CV. Wow. Your manifesto in the first round of questions. My question to you really is, it is a CV, and it's a limp CV. And if I were Alan Sugar, I wouldn't be hiring you. And I think there's no policy here. And OK, you can sit there and you can say, OK, here's my policy. But you know how this works. This is the third election you've run in the union. You were successful in the first two, clearly. But you seem to have not learned from that this is your opportunity to sell yourself. This is the most widespread form of your policy. More people will read this than will be watching this now. So does no policy mean no accountability? Are you scared of accountability?
No, and first of all, I've run in 4 elections and lost one of them, so I thought I'd chuck that in.
You didn't have to admit that, so thank you.
Well, I'd like to. Absolutely not, no. The manifesto is kind of it is a visionary manifesto, and it shows that I have the experience and the passion for the Students' Union, and within that, everything that I want to strive for and everything that I want to push for next year is in that manifesto, as I mentioned with Tony Pierce's question. That 5-year strategy is 1-year strategies in 5 chunks. So at the end of next year, the handover should be so strong that the part-time exec and the SAB team that I leave manages to continue that for the years to come.
Yeah, Maz, a manifesto says what you are going to do. A strategy contains vision, not a manifesto. Representing you, as students, we hold a huge amount of influence, etc., etc. Okay, you've written, gaining the confidence to challenge university management can take some time. With my experience as vice president, I'll hit the ground running. But it doesn't appear to me from reading this that you do have the confidence to put something down in writing and say, this is what I am going to do. It's more, okay, I've got experience, I'll do president stuff, I'll get paid, and I'll have another year being a sabbatical officer. This seems like a failed opportunity. Give us one pledge.
One pledge is at the end of my term, we'll be able to look back and there'd be a higher voting turnout, a higher candidate running, and the part-time exec and the union exec as a whole at the end of the year will have a solid handover, and the 5-year strategy will be succeeded.
So your pledge is for the year after you to have a strong exec?
It's all about continuity, and it's all about that handover continuing year on year.
All right. Peter, you It's been said, it's been reported by a number of members of exec that earlier this year you came in like a wrecking ball and tore apart a team. On the first day of exec training, you walked out and you said, paraphrase, I don't want to work with this team. The first day, do you not give them a chance? Do you not give teams a chance? What will you be like next year? Will you be like a wrecking ball again?
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, my role this year is events and trading. I sought to redefine the role. Because events and trading is unique in the sense that it's involved in the commercial services. It's the only one that is should be in direct contact and liaise with the commercial services. I deemed it important for this role to continue to be significant, for me to make the essential links with commercial services, because that is where the difference was going to be made. So if I wanted to get the student opinion heard, I need to build the relations up with the entertainment staff, and for that, then that will move student opinion and get it directly where it's actually going to change things.
Okay, so you're talking about what you want, and you said there, I want a couple of times. Focus on the teamwork element of that. Are you able to work as part of a team, or do you just think that you can dictate a team? Is that why you're going for president?
Oh, definitely not. See, the thing is this year, as I mentioned before, I've fulfilled my union executive role completely this year in the sense that I've attended nearly every single meeting, and I've always been there shouting my voice and making sure that the opinions of students that aren't necessarily heard within that building without me are heard. So I have felt this year that there has been a tendency to not like the debate. If you don't agree with what the majority of us say, then you're obviously taking it as a personal attack, and that has never ever been my intention. I just like to encourage a sense of debate with an exec, and that's what I would encourage next year as president. I want to bring people out. I want to tell them, disagree with me. I want you to disagree with me, because at the end of that, it causes a debate, and you get a better consensus and a better agreement on the issues that matter.
Last part of my question for you is, please give one example of how you have supported the executive team this year. One example of how you've supported the executive team this year within your role as a member of the executive team.
So one thing that we did was the fruit in the library, which was actually my idea, that I went to the support staff in the union and asked if it was possible. all the sabbatical officers got involved. We invited the part-time officers along as well. And it was a great day, and we got a dog, which was really good. That wasn't my idea, but about the initial kind of handed out fruit in the library. And that was something we did as a team, and it was something that I think was appreciated by the students, and it showed us getting in direct contact with students and speaking to them during exam period when students aren't feeling, as good as they could be.
All right, thanks, Pete. So get a round of applause for those first questions. Hopefully we'll pick up the pace. Okay, so I'm going to go back to a question which was asked to one of the earlier candidate positions 1 or 2 days ago, I forget now, and it wasn't answered particularly satisfactorily, I don't think. So I'm going to give you all a magic wand again. You can change one thing. I'm not going to say this again, it gets really boring repeating it. You have one, you can grant one greatness on campus, whatever it is, for a person, for yourself if you like, for the students, one thing. So Shaoli, what will it be?
I would say the gap between international students paying, the tuition fee between international students and home students, and bring the gap down and also decrease the tuition fee level.
Okay. Peter?
If I could grant one thing, I'm thinking of something that students the majority of students would appreciate, and that would be dramatically lower accommodation costs. I would just cap the costs like we have obviously with tuition fees, cap accommodation fees so they can't rise above a certain amount, so it's in line with what students are actually bringing in.
Okay,
so,
Maz?
I was actually going to say very similar. If you could one wish, then it would be capped international fees, capped tuition fees as well. But just a general, students around campus being proud of their union and being fully aware of what's going on.
I'm a little bit confused, because if I had one wish, it might be something a bit better. You cap fees. Why? Do you not want to reduce fees?
Put them on zero,
or get rid of fees? Or put them on zero? That was my idea, but you can have, I'm just thinking, you can, I just find that difficult. You have a magic wand. I don't know. Anyway, okay. I'm going to ask you next, have you all got pen and paper? Yeah, of course you have. Very good. I'd like you to write down your ideal SAB team based on all the question times that we've seen over the last few days. Okay. Yeah, the name of them. The positions are set. I'm going to hide the manifestos. I was going to tell you the positions, but that'd be patronising. Hopefully. Okay, so there's a few rumbles. People interested to see what... I think this is a very reasonable question. I think it's very reasonable for us to see who these guys would like to work with. Doesn't necessarily mean they have to vote for these people. I'm rubbish at filling time and I don't tell jokes.
With or without reason?
We don't really have time to give reason for every single individual. Just tell us the ideal SAB team. Worry about telling us why we should vote for you after this. We're not going to justify them. Okay, we all ready?
Wait one sec.
Nearly. I'm going to add something on to that as well. I'm going to add something on. You're also allowed to add another vice president position. You're allowed to add one. Don't worry about finances. That wasn't directed at an individual candidate. Okay, we ready now? Yeah. I don't know why I'm asking. I don't usually ask. Right, we're going. Okay, so... First of all, okay, I guess we can go through like this. So, Shaoli, what's your ideal team?
My ideal team is...
And say the position, then the name. Just position, then the name.
Andy for VP Society, Ben for VP Sports, and Lucy for VP Welfare. I'm sorry that I didn't attend the education night because my personal emergency, my grandparents...
Have you looked...
Yeah.
Okay. Have you been able to look at the manifestos at all for education?
I'm sorry, I didn't. Yes.
That's okay. Try and have a look afterwards. What's the extra vice president position that you'd add?
I will add communication because I find it so hardly to communicate with people as a student union.
Okay. So vice president communication. Okay. So we'll go with Maz next.
Okay, Dan Jacobs Sports, Musty Societies, Munya Welfare, Matt Sadler's Education, and Maz President.
Okay, and the VP position?
Is this one of those countdown situations where I show you that I wrote the same as
Don't do the jokes, Maz. Don't do the jokes. Come on.
Sorry, buddy. Comms.
Communications as well. We have VP Communications as well. Okay, and finally, Peter. You are allowed to say the same. It's just less interesting.
So obviously me for president, hopefully. Matt Sadler's for education. Tilly for welfare. Lewis for societies. And Jordan for sport.
And what's the position that you'd add?
I'd add a VP Democracy and Participation.
VP Democracy and Participation. Okay, so let's get a round of applause for that. That's pretty tough, being put on the spot, remember names, that kind of thing. Right, okay. So, Tony Pierce described this as an amazing election event. However, which students' union in this country do you most aspire for Surrey to match? Which students' union do you aspire to match? Was the president of a top 8 university on some of the league tables? We're all thinking it. What do we think? Okay, we'll go with. I haven't started with Peter, so we'll go with Peter. You can explain why, but keep it a little bit brief.
I'd have to say Leeds. I think they've got a really good kind of connection with students, and you see it in all the events that they run. And I think their sabbatical team, they actually don't have a president. So what it is, they kind of have a collection of sabbaticals that are kind of all on equal footing, and like no one's a line manager, and they kind of all have the same, obviously have their different specifics, but it's interesting to see how it can actually work without having a president. But it seems to work really well for them. But they have, I think, from everything that I've seen and events that I've been to, Leeds have shown that they've...
Do Leeds not have a president?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So you aspire to be like a union that doesn't have a president, and you're running for president?
No, like I said, it applies specifically to Leeds because it's a completely different university made up of, obviously, far away from here. It's different circumstances. Okay.
So we'll go next with Maz.
I was going to say Leeds as well for the video presence that they have. So if you were to go to YouTube and type in Leeds Union videos, they're absolutely incredible, and they're kind of what we based our Talking Heads video for freshers at the start of the year too. So Leeds.
Are you happy to agree with the two candidates over the last two questions that you've said the same thing as the last two candidates?
I'll say something different then. So
no. You don't have to change your mind. It's just be aware that is what comes across. That's what people pick up on, that kind of thing. Finally, Shally.
I would say Cambridge. It's not about their ledge table position. It's about their sense of belongings, student sense of belongings. I want you guys to walk away from the University of Surrey and be proud of. I want you guys to hold the transcript, to go to any company, they will say, oh, University of Surrey, I take you. That's what I want, and I will deliver the skills that you will have, so that you will need for the employment.
Cambridge barely has a union, but that's just been... I had to say that because it was horrible to the other two. So. Right, okay, so anyway, let's get to the next one. This might get... I sort of feel like I should apologise for getting heated because a lot of people seem to find that very confusing. These guys are going for president, okay? They're going for president. It is a really important position. I'm not going to waffle on too much about why it's important, but it is, and they hold a lot of power, and decision-making power in the university as well as the union. And it's something which, whether you have any suspicions about this, in the past, people who've been president have gone on to be very successful, be that through connections they form while in the role or otherwise. So it is life-changing. It's a life-changing position. So let's get down to business. What's the best and worst thing that the current president has done this year? The reason I ask that question is so, as voters, everyone can see what your idea of a good thing is and what you want to improve on. And please don't sit on the fence on this one. Think about this for a minute. If anyone wants to tweet any questions, just tweet them to #SurreyDecides, and the best ones will be sent across. It's very tense up here, isn't it? Everyone feeling tense? Okay. This is a rhetorical question. So what, Maz, you can go first so we can see if you've got your own ideas. What is the best thing that Em Bollen has done this year? Positivity.
The best thing she's done this year is change the way I think about my role. So it took me a couple of months to really grasp how important my role was and how important it is to be a vice president, first and foremost. And that wouldn't happen without her.
What's the best thing from your point of view, Xiaoli?
Would be challenging the higher management level of the University of Surrey.
And Peter?
I think the 1, 2, 3 Go initiative is a really good idea that I would definitely look to carry on next year. Getting the STABs right back in with the student body, I think, is always a really good positive thing.
Peter, what's the worst thing from this year that Em has done?
I think probably the umbrella term would be transparency. The handling of the Stag radio issue, and then the subsequent...
Give us one example, please. Just stick to one example. What's the absolute worst thing, in your view?
Handling of the proposed Stag radio merger.
Okay. Xiaoli, what's the worst thing?
I would say communications. I have talked with her, and they are all long-term, and behind the scene, you guys can't see it. But actually, there are loads of future influence for the university.
I should butt in there, because it's a bit contradictory. You said communication was the worst thing you've done, and then you said...
Because nobody...
Wait a second. The reason you said that is because you've spoken to her.
Yes. I mean, because nobody knows what she is doing. Well, most people. Yes.
Most people don't know.
Yeah, the actual actions.
Okay, okay. And finally, Maz.
Making students aware of exactly what's going on at the Students' Union.
Anything specific? It's got to be a worse thing.
There's some incredible stuff going on, but it's all behind the scenes at the moment. But it needs to be out in the forefront.
That's still positive. What's the worst thing? That's incredible stuff. What's the worst thing, Maz? Make a tough decision. You have to make tough decisions in this role.
Okay, dealing with conflict this year in the exec team.
Okay, okay. Any questions from the floor? Question over here.
Okay, it's been mentioned already tonight, but all the union exec represent all students, regardless of what their title is. And I think events and trading is no different from that and should be a part of a team. Sorry, that's just a bit of a comment. It's a question for Peter. On your manifesto, you talk about representing all students. But at an exec meeting this year, you told the STAB team not to waste their time trying to engage with 600 GSA students. How are you going to represent these students who you clearly don't care about?
I will allow that question, but I will direct questions at the other two individual candidates in due course, to be fair. Peter.
Okay, it's important to clear a few things up here. My role in the union executive this year, I've spent obviously fighting for the things I believe are right and the things that I think students think are right also. The issue I took with the whole GSA thing is that we were only focusing on them. What happened to our concentration on groups such as the Nurse Society, who have only just, they were re-ratified as a society in November, still haven't got a society email account, still haven't got a place on the union website. Where was the issue with the nurses? They're a massive cohort of our
I'm sorry to be too much for Jeremy Paxman about this, but do you deny making that comment about GSA?
I don't remember wording it in that specific way.
How did you word it?
I said that why we're concentrating so much on one section when we should be focusing on everybody.
Okay. Okay. You satisfied? Someone else got a question? Can we have a question for one of these two candidates, please? Question over here. Specific to a candidate, please. One of these two candidates.
Is this more to the general candidates?
Just a little bit closer.
Is more to all candidates?
I do. For now, I will come back to you, but I would like, for fairness, to have a specific question to one of the two candidates. Behind over there, in the back, we have a specific question. I will come back to you there.
This is to Xiaoli. What is the most important thing you think, other than finance, ignoring finance, don't say the word finance, about your role next year if you get it.
So is the question, what's the most important thing about your role other than finance?
Yes.
Okay. Charlie?
I would say opportunities, like employability and all other things. We know there are volunteer opportunities and you might, target different posts, but opportunities is very important, like part-time job and everything else. Even student union, we only have 13 positions. If we can expand that, have more specific roles, not only it will impact on the students as a whole, but also individual. It will be good for their CV. It's about individual development as well. So that many things, I would summarize as opportunities.
Okay. Charlie, on that point you mentioned, I have to come back to this at the beginning. How many students did you say at Surrey have part-time jobs? I don't know if I misheard.
65% is according to...
Okay, 65%. I had to clarify because you said 65 and I just wanted to ask for sure. Okay, fair enough. Thank you for clarifying that. Can we have a question to Maz, please? A specific question to Maz. I've got a question there, over there. That one.
So you've spoken about how there was conflict last year, mainly from M, not like resolving that. How would you go about resolving conflict?
Okay, Maz?
Conflict within the team can create an incredible team when it's action-driven and not personality-driven or not personal issues-driven. So 100% making sure that's at the absolute forefront at the start of the year. It is 13 people thrown into a room together. There's bound to be conflict. And it's addressing those issues. It's addressing that there is a bigger picture and seeing how important that year can be and should be.
There's bound to be conflict, so what could M have done better then? There's bound to be conflict, so it's always going to happen, right?
We ignored it at the start of the year. It was ignored.
We ignored it?
Well, the SAB team, we're part of the SAB team, yeah.
Okay.
It's not a one-man show as president.
Okay. Any questions from the crowd? Take one more if we have. In fact, that's fair to go back to Peter because I denied him the request first time. Then we'll go to different questions.
So this is to all candidates. There's a campaign to get the university to divest from the fossil fuels industry because the fossil fuels industry's business plan is incompatible with us avoiding a 2 degrees Celsius rise in global temperature. Do you support this campaign and why? And you should know that other student unions are supporting this campaign.
I don't know about... Did you all hear... Okay, I heard most of that about do you support this campaign and why. Can you just briefly summarise what the campaign is, just if you shout a little bit?
If you get the university to divest from the fossil fuels industry.
Okay, you've got that. University to divest from the fossil fuels industry. Have you proposed that to exec this year?
Yeah, it's a petition at the moment. It's got about 110 signatures at the moment.
Okay, so it currently has 110 signatures. So you can't sit there and say, I will ask the students, I will see what the students want, because there's 110 signatures. Okay, thank you, Peter. So we'll go first of all to Shaoli on that one.
Firstly, my priority is to understand. So I will try to find out what is behind the campaign and what is behind the investment, the pros and cons, because I have seen the campaigns, posting in Facebook, and yes, I would say in terms of finance, it could be best. I mean, it's the best interest of the university. However, I am a student first, then I am the student union president if I get elected, and I would say what is right for the student. Then I would go ahead.
What is right for the students? What is right for the students? That's what you're being asked.
Yes, I probably will just, announce a survey to ask all students. If most of them say no, then I will go for no. If yes, then obviously I will go for yes. I'm sorry about that if you don't like this answer.
Okay. We'll go next to Pete.
I'm not too familiar with the campaign, I have to say, if I'm honest. But I know Surrey has obviously been doing a lot in terms of sustainability. They have risen quite a lot in the sustainability index. I think that's what it's called. I think it's on one of the big banners that we've been quite proud of. doing well in sustainability. But like I said, I'd have to take a look more deeply into the campaign because like I said, I'm not familiar with it, but it seems like a sensible one and one that Surrey should obviously take seriously. But like I said, it's all about the details, so give it a look over.
Can I ask, just to clarify, has this been proposed to the union executive? I know you already asked that, but you said it is a petition, but I didn't get an answer to, has it been proposed to the union executive? Has it?
It hasn't.
You're saying no. It hasn't.
Definitely.
I have to be clear about this. Yeah, do you want to, Hannah's the chair of the union executive. Hannah? Okay. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay. Because if it had been, then obviously that was going to be a problem. Okay. So we'll go next. Well, finally to Maz.
Did you say you got over 100 signatures? So that's quite a big deal. It's not just one student or going to submit something that they're really passionate about. And as an exec and as a union, we need to get better at helping students reach out when they collate that sort of thing. So it is the job of the union exec to see that it's got over 100 signatures and aid those students in seeing if that's an issue across campus, because it might be. So bring it to union exec.
Okay, so I'm going to take a question that's been submitted. Where is it here? Shaoli, you... In fact, no, I won't. I'll start with Shaoli a couple of times. Maz, as the current VP Societies and Individual Developments, you have a responsibility to look after and show a strong representation for societies, right? And to encourage participation in societies. And to be there for societies. Okay, I don't know if you know where I'm going with this. However, at very late notice, it was noted by a lot of societies that you did not appear at Refreshers Fair on the day, and if you did appear, it was out of work in order to speak about your campaign. Do you have any comments on this?
The day was taken as annual leave, and I was still there, but it was to protect my back in... It's very difficult drawing the line between being a current SAB and running to be a SAB again.
Do you find it difficult to draw the lines? Is that fair to say?
No, not really, but let me finish. It's drawing the line with other students in conversation. So it happens all the time where people ask you, how is your campaign going and stuff, and there's 3,000 people in Rubik's. So I scrapped the day as annual leave. Wasn't wearing a union top or anything, but still walked around to each society and dealt with their problems, went down to my office when they needed me to, got them more.
Did you have any regrets about that at all?
My regrets about that is not being on the union store at the front line, yeah.
Okay. Peter, you speak with a strong voice, and there's a lot of comments on Twitter about that. But perhaps, is it too strong? Do you crumble under confrontation, and that actually, do you ever scare people with your in-your-face approach, where if I'm not leading, I don't want to be part of it? I'll do my own projects. I didn't need to be part of that team. Me.
What's the actual question?
Well, the actual question is, do you struggle with confrontation, and therefore, will you be a weak leader? Okay.
Obviously, I've already spoken about my time on the union exec this year. I felt that there wasn't much of a culture of accepting debate. That is obviously not going to be the opinion of other people, but that is my specific opinion. Part of the reason why I'm running for president is because I want to encourage that culture of debate. I don't want people to feel like they have to be, a yes man, stand in the shadows. You can't have an opinion because everybody else agrees. I've stood in that room and I've stood up for what I believe in and what I think students believe in, even when it was unpopular with every single other sabbatical and part-time officer. I wasn't scared. I still felt I could speak my voice, and I feel like I can pass that on to all the other future team, which I would be leading. I feel like that is the culture I want to promote. That is the culture I want to bring to the union. I want people to feel like they have a voice and that they can bring it and not be scared and be shouted down. I want to do the opposite. I want people to tell me, why am I wrong? What have I done wrong? And that is exactly what I want to bring to the table next year.
How do you take that? When people tell you how you've done wrong, how have you taken that in the past? How do you think if I ask someone here who's told you you're wrong, what are they going to react?
Nobody likes being told that they're wrong. Nobody. That's obviously you
How do you react when you're told you're wrong?
I say I'm not wrong because. They would say you are wrong because.
Are you never wrong, Peter? Are you never wrong?
No, I said if people tell me I'm wrong, I would explain my position and then hopefully that will bring out their position. It's important for people to feel like they've got a place to speak their voice.
Are you never wrong?
Of course I'm wrong.
Okay.
I'm wrong.
Establish that
I'm wrong
'cause
quite a lot,
it's
but
quite
I think it's. I want to see people tell me that I'm wrong, so I can see their point of view. It's important to see how other people see the same thing, the same situation, because people can look at the same situation and have completely different perceptions of what that means. And I want to be able to, I want to see people bring that to the table so we can all talk about it and then we can all reach a mutual conclusion.
Okay. Shaoli, you've sought advice, you've mentioned that, you've spoken to the current president, you've spoken to various members of staff, and they've advised you on the way in which the union works, the way in which the union does make profit in order to invest legally in this charity. Everything that is created through profit is put back. So I guess profit is the wrong word, but of course there's revenue. But what is this place? This isn't a dormant area. Usually this is quite full on some weekdays. However, this manifesto is still really misguided, and it's almost as if you haven't taken the advice. It's almost as if you went and looked for this advice and said, okay, tell me what I should put there. But really you were thinking, I just want to talk about finances. I just want to talk about money, money, money. And even though you sought advice, you haven't taken the advice. And so my question to you is, are you unable to listen to those with experience?
It's kind of related to the do you like somebody tell you are wrong. Personally, I like to be criticized. I like people to tell me I am wrong so I can develop myself further. I haven't been in the UK law for long and also haven't been into this university for long, I have to be honest. However, that I didn't know I can seek advice or manifesto like just a day before the submissions. So yes, that was my bad as well.
So is there anything you would change about your manifesto? Don't go through it bit by bit, but
yes,
are there things you would change?
Of course. The first thing I would say is I will seek advice from the union members. I will seek any guidance if that's necessary from them, and then produce my manifesto.
Okay.
However, I'm passionate for those girls, I said in my manifesto.
Okay. You will be, as president, you'll be acting not only as a union trustee, but very importantly, as a university trustee. This debate so far has been dominated by the union. However, you will be making important decisions for the university. So my question to you, and I am sorry for this being a little bit negative, but it is in order to see your awareness of the university. What do you think, then, is the biggest mistake that the university has made this year? No, I'll give you a second to think about it. What's the biggest mistake that the university has made this year? Okay, start off with Maz on this one.
How many? Are there any international students in here? Okay, it's just I think the biggest mistake, and it came up in course rep assembly the other day, is not being aware that there were £9,000, that the fees weren't capped for international students, and they could just go up willy-nilly in their second year, third year, fourth year.
That's the biggest mistake from your point of view. Shaoli, what's the biggest mistake the university's made?
Increasing the fees and rents without recognizing the hardship of any student, whether or not it's international or home student with, family background. Although there is bursary, but there is no bursary for international student and postgrad. And yeah, and also the second year you only have 1,000 cash compared to the first year is, yes.
Please explain that bit.
Which bit, sorry?
What do you mean about the £1,000 cash?
For bursary, you only have £1,000 cash or...
Okay, so you mean the bursary for performance?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Peter?
I would probably say the accommodation, in the sense that all the new accommodation the university seems to be giving the students is all Bandiani, and that there's no kind of Battersea Court, Surrey Court kind of accommodation, which is what I lived in my first year, and the costs were very reasonable for me, but that's ultimately been squeezed out in favour of the higher banded en-suite accommodation. I think that is a really big mistake, because especially Guildford Court, that needs to be improved, but from what I hear, it's possible that they could be turned into bandini as well, and I would like to see the university go down that route.
Shaoli, lake party, discuss. Lake party, what does that mean to you? Have you ever heard of this?
Late party, yes.
What's the issue with the lake party?
Basically, I live in Manapau, which is next to the... sorry, I live in Bellaby Court, which is next to...
What year are you in?
First year, first year.
Okay, that is perhaps tricky to start with Shaoli. I apologise, but I'll let you come back to it once you've been filled in by Peter.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, mate. So the lake party, obviously, the big part we all have on the lake at the last day of end of year show. It's a great feeling when you're coming at the end, say especially if you're in a final year and you're coming at the end of your university experience, and you're there for one last time by the lake, which I think is quite symbolic at Surrey. I think we kind of see it as kind of a thing that...
So you're a big supporter of the lake party. As president, you will support the lake party. Will you organise it? Will you push for the union to organise the lake party?
I think that we can have... Yeah.
What if the uni said, no lake party this year, it's our lake. Get your own lake. Which they might.
Yeah.
Would you push?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Maz, would you?
Who here has been to the lake party and likes it and wants it to continue? Okay. Cool. The only big kind of fight against that is external people just showing up at whatever time in the morning and going crazy.
Is that the only issue? Are there any safety issues involved?
The lake itself and drunks jumping into the lake.
So do you have a responsibility to safeguard those people?
Massively, yeah.
So
to put on security that are there for a reason.
Will you always make decisions based on a hands up?
Based on what students want and what students start whooping to when they want
really?
to play.
Really? What if students whoop to... I'm going to go back to this example. I'm going to ask all the candidates this at some stage. What if they all whoop to starting an EDL society? I'll come back to that. I'll let you think about that because I want to ask Shaoli the first question. Now you know what the lake party is.
May I ask one more question? Is it only for the final year or for every year?
Well, it's not officially a party and it's not officially organised. It's a gathering which happens quite often towards the end of the year.
It is wristbanded.
Okay, for the last couple of years, you're right. There have been wristbands in order to select who attends. I've got to be diplomatic about this. But it's not exclusive. A lot of people go. Don't worry too much about that. Do you think, in principle, safety overrides fun, or the student opinion overrides safety, or what do you think of that?
I think if you guys like it, then I will push it forward. However, because safety problem and any other problem, financial problem, anything, is the union's responsibility to help you guys. If you like that activity, you can tell us, like Facebook, anything, we'll just push it forward because we add the best interest and what is right for you guys, not the university. Yeah, the university, there's a relationship between them, but mainly for you guys, yes.
Okay, I'm going to comment on that, especially to, not to just go away from Shaoli, but I think it's unfair to push this question when you haven't even attended it. So just final question on that. It's very easy to push for something like this when there's no risk. The licence is the university's licence. If someone falls in the lake and dies, that is going to fall on the university. The university has said, and this has been verified as true, you can have the lake party if you put it on your licence. So basically, something goes wrong, Rubik's goes. Does that change your mind at all, Maz?
It does, yeah.
What does it change your mind to?
Rubik's is such a core function for the union.
So would you only do it if the responsibility was not with you?
No, I do it with the responsibility on me.
So you would risk Rubik's?
Okay, yeah. If it's really what students want and to continue, then we'd safeguard it and make sure that we're not liable to that sort of thing.
Okay, you would be liable. But it's just whether something happens. Peter?
I think with events like this, obviously we are liable for anything that happens in Rubik's at the moment. So anytime someone trips over down the stairs or cuts himself, we are liable for that.
But you can't. It's not very easy to drown in Rubik's.
Oh yeah, and that's just my point. That's my point. There's hazards everywhere. I mean, we're never going to be able to fully protect people from everything all of the time in our venue. That's the reason why we have, security hired here. That's the reason why we have security at the lake party.
We know that. We do know that. But based on what I just said to Maz, the same question to you. If it was on your shoulders and you can be sued and you can be held severally liable to that, what do you think?
I would obviously take the necessary precautions, but I would still hold the rape party.
How about if something happened and Rubik's closed? Would you take responsibility for that? That'd be your legacy.
If that was the case, yeah, but I'd never let it get to that situation.
It's easy to say I'd never let it get there. Are you going to stand there by the lake?
You ask a very hypothetical question that is not, you're saying, would you want Rubik's to be closed? Of course, nobody wants Rubik's to be closed.
Wait, Peter, let me clarify. That's not the question. The question is, if you said, OK, the students want it, and then something happened, and you can't guarantee that something's not going to happen, and then Rubik's closed, are you happy to have that kind of responsibility? Can you handle that kind of responsibility? And it can be financial, personally, to you.
Yeah.
OK. Right. Do we have any questions from the floor? That was a bit of a push there. You can answer it. I didn't want to be unfair, just because. OK, I'll allow Shaoli based on what the discussion we've just had, based on your understanding now of the late party. Any comments?
Yes, I would like to say I would take full responsibility if that's my decision and if you guys really want it. And it's our responsibility to prevent those hazards. Well, lake party, we can put a net just under the water surface. No one is going to die.
No, don't say that. Okay. No, okay. Fair enough. Okay. I just didn't want to get into too many specifics on it. Well done for taking responsibility. Okay, all of these strong answers from everyone. That's difficult. Is there a question over here somewhere?
Woohoo.
Over there.
Okay.
To all candidates.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is to all candidates. I made a Freedom of Information request recently to the university, and I found out that the number of drug offences on campus has gone up 4 to 6 times in the past 2 years.
How many times has it gone up?
4 to 6 times,
4
depending.
to 6.
4 to 6. The number of racial incidents has gone up.
Between 4 and 6.
The number of harassment incidents has gone up by a factor of 2. So if you were president, what would you do to combat things like these?
I'd like to ask a question to Anchor as well on that. It's kind of a bit of a rhetorical question in a way. Does that not just mean that the university and security are getting better at detecting rather than whether crime's increasing? Mike?
This is, I'm making that question without comment. Maybe the reporting has gone up.
But based on that, if indeed crime has gone up.
Based on the fact that it is being reported, what would you do to combat this?
Okay. So we'll go to Shaoli first of all here.
Yes, I would say to teach people, basically we can have some tutorial. Well, I met my tutor, but I never have a tutorial with my tutor. There's group tutorial. We can ask them to provide more experience of their own, and we can have some more experience from, high-year students. We can have talk from them, and we learn the experience, and we understand what is going on. And really, unions should make sure they realize the dangers, and yes, we need to address the importances of the issues.
Shaoli, what's the contents of this tutorial?
The tutorial, it's kind of related to your personal life or any.
So it's a tutorial about what's wrong and about crime and that kind of thing?
It can be if it's necessary.
I just want to get to the point. So what is the tutorial about in order to combat crime?
Yes, like a small group of teaching rather than just handing out leaflet. People wouldn't even read it because crime has been poor for many years. So a small group talking with your tutor, learning experience from them, it could be very important.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Shaoli. Peter?
Can I just confirm, are these crime figures from within university campus or Guildford? Within university campus, so things like drugs, harassment have risen?
Yes, drug offences, harassment, and racial incidents.
Drug offences 4 to 6 times and harassment to figure of 2. Doubled. Okay.
It's gone from like 3 to 12.
Yeah, based on whether or not that's detection. We won't get into a debate about that, but say it has increased. So, Peter, what are you going to do about it as president?
So obviously coming to university is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and it's something that a lot of people can get a bit too, can go over the top with. And it's important that we recognise that students are here, you know, they're going to have fun, they're going to go out, they're going to obviously go to the lectures sometimes, and then, but it's, like I said, as I mentioned,
What would you do? What would you do if crime rises? What would you do? You basically just said people go have fun.
I think it's an approach that the mentors could take. I think this is something that we could take to the mentors and find out what the issues on the ground, because they're the ones speaking to the students. They're the ones speaking to students, obviously on campus. They're the ones that are there on the front line. I think it's important to see what issues are arising from what they're seeing. Like obviously when I went to meet the student life mentor team leaders earlier this week, they told me their specific issues. Number one, housing.
Okay.
You find it straight away from the source.
It's just what would you do if you were president?
And I think it's finding out the root of it.
Okay, Maz, what would you do?
First of all, I'd like to assume that it's not within the Surrey campus itself. And over the last couple of years, a lot has happened where the university has taken action based on where students may be coming in from, like the Cathedral Gate being locked at a certain time behind Surrey Court, or being fenced off and stuff. And it's kind of working out where exactly these situations are happening, and if it's the particular hotspots and stuff, really targeting them. And with our students, it's working with the wardens and the security team.
All right, okay. One more question from the floor, if there is one. I think, can this be directed to all candidates, please? Em's hand went up first. Em's current president. One question, please. This is the final question from the floor. I'm very aware of time.
I'd just like to say that all of you guys have done a really fantastic job. I think this question time has been really good, delving into some of the issues here. So I'd like to just have a massive round of applause, because they've really done a really good job.
All right, I'm sorry to push. Please ask questions to all the candidates.
Okay. It's more of a statement.
Well, I can't stop you from holding the mic. Just please ask a question. Be fair. Please ask questions to all the candidates. You can make a statement, but follow it by a question, please.
Okay, here we go. I'd like to say, all three of you, massive respect. You all came to see me, all came to question me about the role and things that I've done this year, which really shows initiative and that you really want to make a difference for students. I think, based on what I've seen this year and development of understanding the Students' Union, understanding what students need and what they want, I do believe that Maz is the best candidate for this role going forward.
Please ask a question, please.
And
ask a question.
My question would then be, what do you believe when it comes to, there's lots of talk about within the union what you would change and things like that. What do you believe is the biggest issue when it comes to the university, and what you as a Students' Union leader need to do to hold the university accountable for what
That's
they do?
2 questions. So one, can you just phrase it as one question, please, just because of time? What's the biggest issue?
Yeah, university-wise, like representing the students, the university.
Okay.
Was the biggest
Okay. Fair. Everyone have that question? Is that a fair question? Biggest issue representation-wise of the students. Biggest issue with representation university-wide. Okay. I'll start off with Peter on this one.
So obviously, being the president, you sit on the top level university meetings, and it's important that you are heard as the collective student body, because you may go in there as one person, but when you sit down around that table, you're there representing 15,000 students. I think it's important for me to be able to know that I'm getting as much of a collective opinion as I can possibly get. I'm making sure that the university listens to that. So it's part one is having that opinion, and then part two is being able to actually go in and use your voice and use your ability to actually get that heard.
Okay.
And action to be taken, obviously, as a result of that.
All right. Maz?
As my video kind of alludes to, the role of president is huge. You sit on the highest levels. You meet one-on-one with the vice chancellor. You sit on your finance committee, which turns over a ludicrous amount of money. And I want to hit the ground running, go directly in, and really fight for students and challenge them and challenge the university staff like I've done this year, and really without the detriment of ruining a relationship. It's that strong working relationship with them, and really ensuring that the students' union is getting the best it can do. Sorry.
Shaoli?
As a president, the responsibility is very heavy because you have many students standing behind you. You need to add what is right. But the university, what it's doing is what is acceptable. And yes, the most difficult bit will be playing politics with them. So sitting on the chair, like sitting on the seat in the ball, it will be very difficult. So you need to communicate with each of them to persuade them to support what students believe is right.
Okay, okay. Final question of question time. We have, before I get to this, because if I say the thanks at the end, then people will be leaving while I say it. Can I please have a massive, massive, massive round of applause for all of Stag Media, for stage crew, for everything that we see here tonight. It's only fair to thank the Democracy Committee, which works really hard behind the scenes, and also the current Executive Committee that has also put a lot of effort in, and all the staff, and specifically Deputy Returning Officers Alex Tolley, Kath Phillips, Dan Ben, who's watching back at home, and also to Alan Sutherland. So please, round of applause for all these guys. A lot of work goes into this. There's lots and lots and lots more thank yous, and I'm not going to take responsibility of remembering all of those, so Mike's got a massive long list, and I really hope everyone is covered. So thank you so much to everyone. Thank you, Leonie, for doing the really important role of handing around the microphone. Much appreciated. Final question. Okay, you have one sentence now. You have one sentence. Okay, I don't mean being president is a sentence, I mean speaking a sentence. And my question to you is, give us one sentence to end this debate. One sentence for us to remember you by when we're deciding who to vote for. Please don't swear. Okay, I'm going to start off with Shaoli. One sentence.
I would be happy if you have smiling faces every day.
Round of applause. Maz?
I'm a visionary, and I want to take the Students' Union to become a top 10 Students' Union. Vote Maz.
And finally, from Peter.
Let the student voice come in like a wrecking ball. We need Smeed.
That's all for me. Thank you for being very patient. I'm going to now disappear out the back, so thank you very much.
Welcome back to the final Pundits Corner of Question Time 2014. Just before we start, just to say a big shout out to all the other students currently watching and listening and tweeting from other universities across the country. This is how you do a Question Time debate, and just to let you know, we are available to hire for a small fee. So, just as an overall, so Ollie, how do you think overall the candidates answered the questions in both parts of the debate?
I think it was a real quality debate, to be fair. Compared to what we saw earlier with the events and trading officer, the guys had all done their research. You know, there's two clear sort of front runners in this particular debate. There's a sort of Zhao Li is somebody who, you know, has got his issue, and he's going to take it forward. He's a bit of an underdog, very, very likeable character. I thought it was a really, really high-class debate, actually, and I worked with both Peter and Maz when I was here. Both of them are really, really effective when I was here, and I think both of them make great presidents. And Zhao Li's got, you know, ideas. If it's not his turn on this occasion, he'll be back in the future.
Okay, so we'll just head over to Siobhan now and see what's going on Twitter for the final time tonight.
Well, it is really late, so Twitter's like really quieting down, but we've got 3 really strong candidates, and I think what we're seeing more than anything is a lot of respect for Zhao Li, because he is a first-year student, and it's really brave of him to sort of stand up there and put himself forward at that stage. So
Okay.
yeah, we're seeing a lot of respect.
So just looking at some final parts of the manifestos and things that have been brought up from the debate today. So in Maz's manifesto, he speaks about that the best candidate for the job should have well-established relationships with the stakeholders of the union. So how do we feel that Maz currently being a SAB, would that give him an advantage in this election, do we feel, Chris?
Well, certainly having experience as a sabbatical officer, that will aid him, of course. It's aided presidential candidates years beforehand. But you need to bear in mind that, you know, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Liz Simmons, president, came in, was not a VP, whatever, anything beforehand. She came in, was not a sabbatical officer, straight in to president. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to, the role doesn't necessarily have to have bags of experience. I mean, you do have a lot of staff there who can support you, and you do learn on a job, as you do with every job. It would be a disappointment to see somebody get the job and not learn, as it were.
Okay, well, in some of the VP welfare debates from the other days, people were talking about that they don't really know what the SABs do too much in their role. So Pete talks about in his manifesto about the possibility of doing a SAB review and the results being then published and made available so people know exactly what the SABs are doing on a weekly basis.
We used to do that, by the way. It was called a review panel. I don't know where it's gone, but yeah, carry on. We did used to do that, you know.
So do we think, like we say, that will help people understand what the roles of the SABs are doing and like more engaged with the union? Because some people were saying, especially in the welfare debate, they didn't actually know what Tom was currently doing and things like that. So do you think it would help?
I think Gorilla SAB was quite effective because it not only explained what the role was, you could hold who ran for that position accountable for what they said that they do in their manifesto, and not only that, it helped publicise, you know, Surrey Decides, the whole election process itself.
Has that been ditched then, Gorilla SAB?
I'm not sure at the moment.
Do you really know if that's been ditched? Because it sounds like a good idea to me.
It was last year it was held quite late in the year. I mean, I would have said, yeah, it's a brilliant idea. We should always be holding the SABs accountable, all the elected sort of members. But why hold them accountable after they've got no chance to change anything? I mean, why can't we have these on a regular basis? There's no reason why we can't have these sort of. I mean, like we used to have student parliament and all of these methods of which people could stand up and go, "You've done this wrong. You need to fix this." And it's a shame that sort of has been. I don't say lost because I think the student media might sort of have picked up a little bit on that, but I don't think we have quite the same forums that we used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think some of the points that have been raised in the candidates' manifesto is also mentioned throughout the elections or throughout the question time so far, that there's an issue with the sort of communication between students and the union itself, and I think that's an ongoing sort of thing that can be built on. And I think things like 1, 2, 3, Go, for example, that's been done this year, that's one stage towards that, and also maybe looking at the website and how to develop that and continuously go on with that, and that will be an important point for the next year's president, whoever gets elected.
Okay, so for Xiao Wen, so on his manifesto, he talks very much about the finances and that sort of side of.
Does he? No.
Well, that's the recurring theme throughout the night. So he talks very much about the dual model, and from what questions that have been asked in question time and from the debates throughout, do you think most people are confused by what he actually means by his policy? Because I mean, most people seem to be quite confused.
We already have the dual model. We already have a trading services arm and a membership arm, and one is used to cross-subsidise the other. It already exists. He's reinventing the wheel on that one, I'm afraid. Unless he's going to have numerous companies that he's going to be setting up.
Or build a factory on Manor Park or something like that.
Oh, the factory at Manor Park, yeah. The student workers,
Student workers working for the student factory.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
He knows all his business stuff though. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about in the business side of stuff, and this sort of economics being a student. So he probably does know what he's talking about. But I'm not sure if he quite understands the union just yet, because we kind of do that, like Ollie said a bit ago. It's already there, and he talks quite a lot as well in his policy. He talks about how it's against the law for us to have a charity, the business, and all the legal side of that. It's as if he's read the textbook, but he hasn't looked at how it's actually practiced and how it actually works here at Surrey.
Yeah, because I mean, he, as a first year, obviously he's only been at the university for what, six months, if that now. So is that a bit disadvantage, not knowing exactly how the union works and not having been involved in the union too much before?
I think if you're running for president, then you've got to make the effort to know that. I mean, we've got massive signs about not-for-profit, just for students all over the place. You've got, oh, this is going to test my memory of what's about. I mean, like Chancellor's prime example. It's plastered all over that. It's very, very clear that Chancellor's is run by the union. The money that goes into Chancellor's, yeah, okay, you have to pay the staff and you have to buy resources and supplies, but the profit goes back into the union. And I think, to be honest, if you've missed that, then that's quite a vital bit that you've missed in his manifesto.
I feel like he could be a good candidate, but I feel as if maybe some more experience might be needed for Sally.
Some of his like sort of entrepreneurial ideas might be useful to sort of develop into how societies work and how they make money in the future, so they can become self-sustaining rather than have to rely on the union every year to get more and more money.
Because with the involvement with the union, so with both Peter and with Maz, with their manifestos, it's listed with their CV of jobs they've done in the union. You know, it might not be relevant to the job that they're going for now, but do you think people, when reading the manifestos and considering their vote, actually take that into account? Do you reckon that they've been on this board and done this, have been this society? Do you reckon it's actually a contributing factor to the success of the campaign?
Well, both Pete and Maz have been on union exec for 2 years. I mean, they both have experience in that. I mean, Pete has been part-time exec 2 years, Maz part-time 1, sabbatical another. So certainly though that will stand them in good stead. They've got the experience there. Yeah, absolutely.
You're looking at two totally different candidates, and you can't even put them together in many things on different branches of the scale. It's so different. Like in most of that debate, they disagreed on a few things, like whether they should have labelled roles for the part-time exec, or it should be just sort of all part-time exec, like a sort of 15 block for NUS. And I think the experiences that both have had is going to lead into how this is going to go forward. They're both totally different. Maz comes from societies, he knows a lot about societies, that's where his experience is. And then you've got Pete, who works with the union, he's worked as staff, he's worked with
commercial
part-time
aspects,
commercial side. It's totally different things, it's what you prefer them to, and it's up to people to decide on that.
I think something that's very different this year is that we haven't really mentioned the whole popularity contest issue. Now, I would have said if you've got two candidates, now I'm not saying that sort of the third hasn't got the opportunities or the sort of, but where you've got two candidates with strong evidence of experience, then people are going to potentially vote, I think, in lieu of what they know about that person. It's not going to necessarily be down to experience or policy or manifestos. It's going to be down to, oh well, I know person A, I'm gonna vote for them. They're my mate.
Yeah.
And then I mean, I think that might come into the voting a little bit there.
I think the most important advice for anybody voting in these elections is to look at their manifestos, look at how they answered in question time, and don't think about how you know them beforehand. Vote for the policies, because that's the most important thing.
Because student elections tends to have a sort of popularity contest to it. It's a bit of a shame, really, when it's all based on what they've got to say and how they can do that. It's not about who you know, it's more about what... It seems to be who you know in some elections, but it shouldn't be. It should be more, what you're going to do, have you got the ability to do that, have you got the experience to do that, and then that should be what the basis of the election should be.
Because on that note, going back to Xiao Wen's manifesto, it's the only candidate that I've seen in the manifesto booklet that's actually put specific timescales down for the policies that he wants to implement. So is that going to be an advantage to him, or is that people going to be looked down on that if he doesn't implement the policies by the time frame that he's given? Do we think?
You never win an election at this place by having policies. 5 years I've been sort of dipping in and out of it. Nobody's ever won on the basis of policies. I'm afraid it's about popularity.
It's unfortunate.
Ian's got his hashtag going about policy and not politics. Sorry, not popularity, not politics. Policy. Let me start
Policy,
that again.
not popularity.
Policy, not popularity.
There we
It's
go.
always about popularity. And everybody, you saw it. By the way, I just want to say before we wrap up, M. Bolland today endorsed one of the candidates, one of the presidential candidates.
Yep.
I personally think that's well within order. She is somebody who's going to be voting. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a presidential candidate backing somebody in the race. That is his or her prerogative.
Ian, I believe you have a different view on the M backing a candidate.
I think it's difficult, really. Like, in some ways, on a personal note, she has the right to do that, but then also she's got the authority there as president. It's very difficult to manage that. Whether she should have been allowed to say how she feels as a personal note, is that professional? Where's the boundary on that? And that's maybe something people need to decide whether it's going to influence their vote or not.
She's allowed to, but I personally thought that was a little bit unprofessional.
No,
in my personal opinion,
she's supposed to have opinions, you know. And this is an election. She's at the forefront of the campaign to get people to vote. She's going to have an opinion. That's what it's all about.
Okay, so that's all we've got time for Pundits Corner here.
Just before we go, Dan, sorry. Sorry, I was cut off with some of the thank yous, and I know Charlie was sort of relying on me to give the rest of them. So we need to say a big thank you to all the pundits that we've had over the last 3 days, the volunteers in Stag Media, the union staff, Lippy, all the online viewers, the radio listeners, the audience in the studio upstairs, the deputy returning officers, Alan, Charlie, and of course all the candidates themselves.
Okay, so that's all we've got time for Pundits Corner here, and indeed Question Time 2014. So make sure your voice gets heard. Voting opens at midnight on Thursday and closes Friday at 7 p.m. Everybody will receive a link to vote via their Surrey 365 email address. You can also vote by visiting the ballot boxes that will be around campus. I've been Daniel, and you've been watching Question Time 2014.